make you so special? Why did he bless you? Think about it. I woke up this morning. Got a smile when I say that shit. I woke up this morning. Go.
Cheers, right?
I'll drink to that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So we are live. We are live with Jerry Freeman. And honestly, the way I wanted to kick off this podcast, just because I thought it was like a really beautiful memory, and I thought it was a really cool memory, but I am now able to do a handstand push-up. I learned that about myself the other day.
Oh.
Like on a wall, like you
Okay.
flip up to a handstand.
So, I wouldn't even want to try. I'd smash my own head in.
Yeah, it was like my roommate and I were just up. We had these two girls over the other night, and one of them had done gymnastics, and she like taught me how to do this, and I was like, wow, I can do this, and I just didn't think I was like able to do that.
So is being able to do that a product of her teaching you how to do it, or a fact that you've been like working out a lot lately and
I think
trying to increase your athletic ability?
I think it's more the second. Like I've been working out, and I think a little bit had to do with like my balance. I think doing that was a lot of balance and a lot of strength. So I would say it was a little bit of more so of that, but then she exposed me to a skill within myself that I didn't realize I had, which was, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And also, I wanted to wait until we got on the podcast. We've been sitting around for probably, you said it was an hour?
A little over an hour just chatting.
Yep. And I wanted to compliment your beard.
Oh, thank you. I put balm in it before we started.
Oh, there you go. What's balm?
So, there's a huge beard culture.
Okay.
And beard balm is something I've recently gotten into. And you know what beard oil is?
No.
No? Okay, so there is stuff that you can put in your beard that kind of makes it soft, moist, smell good.
Okay.
And you've got the choices of pretty much oil or balms. And what the balm does is it kind of keeps it in a position. It holds it. And it smells good, and it makes it look nice, and it keeps it moisturized. The oil, on the other hand, is usually a stronger scent and keeps it extremely moisturized. And in fact, it helps like the bottom of your face keep from drying out. And
oh, that would be important.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's a huge culture. Yeah, I mean...
Well, I did notice that yours stays like... It stays very... Yeah.
It's perfect.
It's very free flow, yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. I like hair products and stuff like that, too. I like
that's cool.
Into that.
Is that different than like shampoo you would like put on your hair?
You can use both. They have specific beard shampoos and conditioners and hair shampoos and conditioners, but I use Tresemme on both. I think it works the best. Makes it nice and soft, and then I go through with my clays and the balm and everything else.
There you go.
Brushing it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that interesting because I guess you have different types of hair. I don't know if you would know anything about this, but it's kind of interesting to me, like how leg hair like grows to like its full extent and then stops.
Yep.
It's like, all right, we're cool. We have maxed out on how long we want to grow. But like any like facial hair or anything like that, or even eyebrows. Eyebrows grow as long as they do, and then they just stop. But like your hair on your head, it'll go for forever. Your like beard hair, it'll go for forever, which is kind of cool.
I wonder what the science behind that is.
Yeah,
It's got to be something to do with like dead hair follicles, or not hair follicle, but dead cells and stuff growing out.
That would make sense.
Maybe like the main source of it growing out is your face and your head.
Do you think it serves a particular purpose?
Maybe just getting rid of dead cells in the body.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that's accurate at all. I'm just making my best guess.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
So,
because I remember I've heard that there are two different names for the two types of hair, but unfortunately I'm not too up on my hair game, I guess.
Yeah, anatomy's not my subject either.
Yeah, I cut my own hair though, that's probably
Really?
about as much as I just taught myself how to cut.
You do a good job.
Thank you.
You ever thought about going that route and being a hairdresser? Or I guess a
Not
barber?
At all.
No?
This is just trial and error, honestly.
It's the best guess.
Yeah, I messed it up for about 2 years, but I'm like, okay, it's worth messing up for 2 years and looking like shit for just a period of time, and then I'll start getting it right, because eventually I'll be able to get like a decent product at the end, and now I can do it without messing it up at all.
I wouldn't even want to try. I'll go pay $40 to have it done right.
There you go. That's how most people are, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they have a skill that they can use, and I don't want to do it. So I'll let them do it.
Absolutely. And it's hard, man. It's hard to do it like on yourself because, especially the back of my head, I'm just feeling for it. And there are certain things like trimming up the back. I have to like ask roommates or friends or whatever to, hey, can you do this real quick?
Really botched it, like.
What do you mean by botched?
Like hit the razor wrong and just like went way too far and like went down to the scalp or something.
I have.
Oh yeah.
The first 2 years. Like I said, trial and error. I literally taught myself. Like, I didn't watch any videos, nothing.
No?
Like,
you got a whole plethora
myself.
of Google and YouTube videos.
Yep.
And you didn't even, you're like, nah, I got this.
By the way, on plethora, which that means like an abundance, basically.
Yeah.
For anybody out there. I used to pronounce that word incorrectly until about a week ago. So.
You say it plethora?
Yep, I did.
Yep.
I did.
Yeah.
I also taught myself that word, so that's why I've like mispronounced it.
Again, you got a plethora of all kinds of Google that you can use.
True.
You didn't do it.
True. So we talked about this question before the podcast, but how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the spur thing that you didn't even know about.
Well, but you grew up with chickens.
Well, yeah, I grew up out in the woods, so farm chickens, cows, goats, all of it, horses. See, a solid number on chickens. I think, aren't elephants, like, their skin is, like, really thick, like, almost like leather, and it's, like, a few inches thick?
It's definitely thick. I don't know how thick, but...
I think a chicken could take down an elephant, but it'd take them a while, like one would. But I think if it was, like, it'd have to be a really pissed off chicken. But I think a solid number, like, to make sure, I would say 20 would do it. Easy.
20, okay.
20 chickens would take down an elephant.
Wow. That'd be a crazy YouTube video to watch.
Pretty sure that'd be animal cruelty.
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, if it's just happened in nature, like then it'd be like its own thing. But I'd assume if it's on YouTube, it'd probably have to be like if those two species were to meet each other and like be enraged. I feel like there's some human interaction going on there.
Yeah, it would be interesting to try and get 20 roosters to all attack an elephant. Anyways, I don't know how you'd go about it, but.
Maybe spray some kind of scent that's gonna make it all mad. See, it did it again, man. I don't know what's up with this camera. It's fine. Yeah, the camera just keeps dying. It's really annoying. Well, I mean, we'll just roll with it. But yeah, anybody watching the video file's gonna be angry. No, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. Maybe that's
so it's shut down.
Yeah, it might be the SD card. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
Well, here, I'll try reset. There, we'll just roll with that. If it goes, it goes. Like, I'm not. Yeah, it's all good. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
What's the definition of sandwich?
See, I would just say like 2 pieces of bread. And then...
No, I mean, I'm talking like, what's the Merriam-Webster definition of
sandwich?
are
we pulling this up? Okay.
Yeah, like, I'm curious. Because I'm all about, like, exact, you know...
Well, I guess, yeah, because my own definition would just be as basic as 2 pieces of bread and then some meat in between.
And that would like be that. most people's.
But then again, you could go, like, the PB&J route.
Like, have you ever heard of a Manny Wanchet?
A what?
A Manny Wanchet.
A Manny Wanchet?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so a Manny Wanchet is literally Miracle Whip and a piece of bread.
Okay.
And it's technically a sandwich.
Okay.
But it's only 1 piece of bread. So I don't know. I mean, me growing up, that's something we would eat on a regular basis, and we call it a sandwich. But I want to know by definition if it is. Same thing with the hot dog. I mean, it's meat and bread, but I don't know. So,
yeah, I don't know.
What's the definition on sandwich?
Definition?
We're going to get technical with this.
We're going all in.
Write down.
We're committed. All right, the definition of a sandwich, it's a noun. An item of food consisting of 2 pieces of bread with meat, cheese, or other filling between them, eaten as a light meal.
So technically a Manny Wanchet would be, but a hot dog is 1 piece of bread if you're eating it in a bun.
True.
It's connected.
This is true.
Unless you're doing it ghetto style and it's a piece of bread that's rolled up around a hot dog.
I've done that before.
So I technically no.
And there's no
in my
cheese.
opinion.
That's crazy though that there has to be a cheese requirement too. I think Webster's kind of getting a little full of themselves there.
Yeah.
I think they're pushing the definition a little too much.
Well, I mean, they've got definitions in there of words that I don't think should be words, like the word ain't, which I know is something that we regularly use out where I'm from, but it ain't a word.
Ain't a word because it ain't in the dictionary.
But it is in the dictionary.
That's crazy. Wow. I always heard growing up that it wasn't in the dictionary. So is this like a recent phenomenon? Or?
I don't know. I remember, like, high school, someone told me that ain't is a word, and I was trying to prove them wrong. So I looked it up, and it wasn't in the dictionary, but it's defined as a slang term.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like slang should be in there, though. I feel like it's appropriate.
Well, I mean, you got words like lit and fam and stuff like that. That's technically slang, and I wouldn't use that in conversation.
True.
But I might drop an ain't here and there. But that's just how I was raised.
Yeah, I guess that's it. That's probably a generational thing, too, like lit.
Yeah.
I think it's funny.
Same generation eating Tide Pods. Do you hear they're snorting condoms now?
I saw that.
What is that?
They like come out the back of their throats
That's
or something?
the most ridiculous thing.
That is fucked up.
And they're huffing bug spray again, too.
Again?
Yeah.
So this was...
So back in the 70s and 80s, people were trying to find any way to get high. And I don't remember the exact name of the chemical, but it's derived from a chrysanthemum. And
Can you say that word again?
Chrysanthemum?
What's that mean?
It's a type of flower.
Okay.
But it's derived from the chrysanthemum. And basically, the way that it's processed in the chemicals, if you sniff it, it's like a psychedelic almost. It'll do the same thing to you as like shrooms. Wow. And I'm not trying to give anybody ideas, but it'll put you on a trip. But it can also stop your heart.
Oh, wow.
So it's bad. But it was a huge thing in the late 70s, early 80s when these chemicals first came out. And in the past year and a half or so, it started to gain some popularity again.
Oh, wow.
Which is really, really bad for the pest control industry because those are chemicals that we rely on in daily use. And it's going to just make it harder for us to get what we need to get.
Right, yeah. That just doesn't make sense to me because, like, I mean, I'm assuming these chemicals are just not healthy to be ingesting in comparison to something like natural, like psilocybin. Like, there's just... I don't understand, unless they're the access to these other drugs, if that's what they're desiring to do with their time. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me why they would go this alternative route that's artificial.
Because it's cheaper.
Okay.
You know?
They're thinking short term as fuck.
Yeah, for real. You can go buy a, 50-cent condom, snort it, get high for a little bit, or you can go buy, a gram of weed, smoke it for $10, $20, something like that.
True.
It's like that stuff. Do you ever hear about croc?
Croc. I've never heard of it.
It was basically like off-brand, I think heroin. I think it was like off-brand heroin or meth, one of the two. Okay. And
so is it still an opiate, or?
I don't know the exact, but they used it the same way they did, injecting it. Okay. And it would just deteriorate the skin. I mean, the muscle and everything. You'd see people that had been on this stuff, and like their arms were just rotting pieces of flesh and muscle. It's disgusting. Wow. But because it's like a quarter of the price, they'd go ahead and do it so they can get their fix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's just so crazy. But then again, we're talking about people that are addicted to heroin, or people like on these like hardcore drugs
that aren't thinking straight to begin with.
True.
So they don't really care, but it's still a problem, and it's sad to see people go down that route. I've got friends from high school that are into that shit.
Really? I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Well, I mean, everybody knows or knew someone or knows someone or had someone from their past that went down a route like that. At least out here anyway. I mean, Missouri is pretty well meth capital of the world.
Yep. So unfortunately so, which is, at least for me, that wasn't something I realized until about, I don't know, it was a while. Like, I was probably at least 15. I was probably older. I was probably around 18 until I realized Missouri has a meth problem.
Oh yeah, and we have for a long time. Yeah, there's a lot of old hippies and people that partied back in the 70s that they're just in really bad shape now because of what they were doing back then. I've got a cousin who's an absolute space cadet because he partied and did so many drugs that he's just mentally, he's not there anymore.
Damn.
And the only reason he's doing okay is because his mom set him up with like kind of a, what is it? It's like a savings account, but it accumulates money. And she also had a couple houses that they're still being rented out and whatnot. So he just got lucky that
he could be living on the street.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's just the way it is around here. You know,
right.
I grew up in a town where only exports were meth and cattle.
Wow.
If you didn't have a meth lab in your basement, you were an outcast.
Because isn't meth's really easy to make, right? Can't you just make it in like a water bottle or something?
I think it's Sudafed and a couple other things. I don't know, everything that I know about making meth is from Breaking Bad.
Okay, yeah, same.
I really don't know anything about the process of creating it, so there's just, I knew it was around.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy to be growing up with that. So if you could send a message to the entire world, what would you say in 30 seconds or less?
Don't pick your nose in public.
Yeah.
That's gross. Reality?
That was quick.
No, that was a joke off the top of my head. I don't know what I would actually say. Wait, is it I have 30 seconds to answer, or I have 30
roughly.
seconds?
I mean, that's just like the idea is like a short message to the entire world. If
I'm going with don't pick your nose in.
Okay.
That's gross. You ever see
nasties?
I know living on a college campus, there's all kinds of gross people that are going to college. This is the first time they've been free. They don't even know how to do their own laundry.
Absolutely.
There's got to be that one guy that'll walk down the street just picking his nose. You ever watch him eat it?
No. Oh, you've seen this?
Oh, yes.
Ugh.
Yes. I was doing the brown egg. There's an apartment complex right beside it.
Okay.
Or is it the brown egg?
Is the brown egg referring to like a restaurant?
Yeah, it's a restaurant.
Okay.
It's really good. I don't know if it's still there. But there was a apartment complex right next to it, and we were doing bed bugs there.
Okay.
And which is gross to begin with. And I'm sitting out on the porch and just kind of taking a breather, and I see this guy. He's just walking down the street, puts his finger in his nose, digs around for gold for a little bit, pulls it back out, looks at his finger for probably 2 seconds, and then sticks it in his mouth.
Ew, how old is this dude?
He had to be 25 or up.
Ugh.
I mean, just, it was the nastiest thing.
Wow. That's, I didn't know people with that state of consciousness existed in this world.
Well.
What the fuck?
It's probably the same kids that were eating Play-Doh in kindergarten.
True. And then now Tide Pods.
Yeah, Tide Pods and condoms.
Yep.
Healthy breakfast.
This culture.
What? It's not. Is it culture or stupidity? Or is it a culture of stupidity?
Ooh. I think there is a subculture out of this culture that has a lot of stupidity. Like, or at least we're seeing all the stupid shit people are doing now more than ever.
Yeah, that's. I could see that. You know, we were talking about earlier. We've got all this connectivity. We can pretty much Google anything that we want to Google and see it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, you know, people are doing stupid stuff, and now they're posting it so everybody else can see.
True.
Also, you could factor in that, you know, most of us growing up with technology, you know, we've pretty much had entertainment at the click of a button, or been able to learn something just by typing it in. And so we've kind of, we brought into ourselves this just need for instant gratification.
Absolutely.
And so we've got the rise of like YouTube stars, and we've got all these people that see things go viral, like the Catch Me Outside girl. You know, she went viral, made a shit ton of money. And instant gratification, people think, okay, I can do something stupid and make money, like eat a Tide Pod or snort a condom. I think that could be like a big factor.
That is a motivating factor, absolutely.
Yeah, I drink water.
Well, that's also on the like school shooting aspect, like how we kind of glorify these individuals.
Oh.
It's crazy to think like that. I don't know.
Topic to get into. Are you sure you want to go that route?
I mean, we can, or we can keep going on the questions. It's up to you.
Well, I think it's an interesting topic and one that should be well researched.
Absolutely. Because I know me personally, I will. I don't want to say I'm straying away from that topic, but I I'm not super knowledgeable. I know like as much as probably your average citizen, but like.
Which is not.
I feel like I'm always exactly. I feel like I'm not like I feel like I'm very ignorant on the topic, but I would love to hear your perspective.
So,
absolutely.
As far as school shootings go, I think another one, instant gratification. We glorify, all over the news media, every school shooting that happens.
Right.
And so you get these kids that, well, I want to be famous, and these people are being jerks to me. I'm going to go take them out. I think it was the most recent one. Was it Overland? The one down in,
Florida.
Florida. Was it Florida?
It was somewhere in Florida. I'm not too sure on like the specifics of where, but I know it was in Florida.
I think this is the case that I was reading on the other day. But this particular kid, he had a lot of issues. And he had a lot of reasons and cases that he should have not been able to even buy a gun.
Right.
To go do that. I mean, one of the major things was he blew up a chicken with a shotgun.
Holy shit.
But because he wasn't reported, because nobody knew, the FBI didn't know, he was able to buy a gun. And a lot of these shootings are the same way. It's the FBI and the local police departments not doing their jobs. Like the Sutherland Springs shooter, the guy, he shot up the church, and he was dishonorably discharged from the military for assault.
Oh, wow.
And
no red flags?
That right there should have been reason enough for him not to be able to buy a firearm.
Right.
But because the military didn't report it, the FBI didn't have the information to keep him from buying the firearm that he bought and used. And that same story, you want to talk about the manipulation the media throws out there. The same story, I read a specific article that stated that the shooter was using an AR-15 and the guy that stopped him was using a hunting rifle. The guy that stopped him was also using an AR-15. And they demonize the AR-15, and really it's just a gun. It's a glorified 22.
Exactly.
It's a .223 round, which... you can pull up a picture. They're not that big. Most hunting rifles, like I have a 30-06. That bullet's about that big. .223 rounds about that big. It's about half the size.
Right.
And it's just we're demonizing guns that shouldn't be demonized.
And like you said, we're demonizing one specific gun. What all guns are capable of. That doesn't make sense to me. And I agree. I
think this was a question this was something we talked about a little bit at that party. And I asked you this question. I don't remember your answer. Do you know the difference between an automatic firearm and a semi-automatic firearm?
I wouldn't be able to regurgitate that like fully, so no.
Okay. So the difference between the two. A semi-automatic firearm. You pull the trigger, it fires a shot, and it loads another shell into the chamber. You hold it down, nothing's going to happen. Okay? So each trigger pull equals one bullet.
Okay.
An automatic, you hold down that trigger and it just keeps firing.
Oh, wow, okay.
And that's a major difference. The majority of civilians cannot own an automatic firearm.
Okay.
At all. You have to go through, it's like $10,000 worth of background and paperwork and permits and everything else to be able to own automatic firearms here in America.
Right.
Semi-automatics are not nearly they're obviously not as deadly. Just because you can't get that many rounds out as quick.
So is an Uzi an automatic?
It can be either.
Okay.
But you can't legally buy an automatic Uzi.
Okay.
So there are permits.
So kind of what you're saying is there are regulations that a lot of people aren't really taking into consideration.
There was a big push for stricter background checks from Moms Against Violence, I think.
Okay.
Or Moms for Gun Control, something like that. We already have background checks in place. You have to go through a background check. In fact, I would encourage everyone to even if you just return it as soon, I would encourage everyone to go and attempt to buy a handgun. Just to see what it's really like.
To know the exact so that you're not talking out of ignorance. You're not talking out of ignorance.
I mean, again, I was raised with guns. I was raised out in the woods. We had a whole cabinet full of guns. They didn't shoot anybody. I've never shot anybody. I've got a gun in my truck. I've never hurt no one. Yeah, it's just, that sounded redneck. I've never hurt no one. But I think the main battle with the gun control debate right now is we've got gun owners on one side and the misinformed on the other.
I would agree with that. I would.
think it's people that don't have enough information or don't know the information or have been learning false information.
Absolutely.
And then
typically what the media is trying to portray and the image the media is trying to portray, and like you said, like it's almost like we're personifying these guns as like evil, as just the guns themselves.
I own an AR-15, therefore I must be a school shooter.
Yeah,
is what they're trying to paint it as, and it's just not the reality of it. There's
the association.
371 million guns in the United States. There's more guns than people. You'd think we'd see a lot more shootings.
Right.
You know, have you ever heard of the Australia mandatory buyback?
Is that the law that everybody keeps referencing to about how like they couldn't explain it? Okay, so there's so much misinformation surrounding that particular. So in the 90s, Australia issued a buyback program for guns. Okay. But it was a mandatory buyback program. Oh, so they didn't have an option. They didn't have an option. Oh, wow. And they took, I think, roughly a third or 2/3 of weaponry, of firearms, away from their citizens. And by their numbers, the amount of firearm deaths significantly dropped that year. Right. The reality is, it was on that particular year they took guns away. It was on the same slope as it had been for the prior 15 years. So there wasn't a difference. The following year after that, they were able to buy firearms back again. And the firearm ownership after the buyback doubled from previous to the buyback. Okay, okay. And so by that logic, you know, the following year, gun deaths should have gone up, right? And still continue on a downward trend. Wow. So what's the correlation there? There's not. It's just, I think what would happen is we've got a society that's becoming less a bunch of dickheads. and we've got some people that, you know, are starting to really grasp the concept of human life, and then we've got these really, really bad, horrible people that don't care, and that's why we have school shootings. That's why we have the Pulse club shooting. You know, that's why we have those, is because of evil people with guns. Exactly. And in every situation, an evil person with a gun is stopped by a good guy with a gun, whether that be a civilian or a police officer. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. It's always a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. Absolutely. If you look, you know, all of these shootings we're having, the majority of the cases, they're all in gun-free zones. Oh, really? Is that right? So, yeah. Well, school shootings, movie theaters. I'm trying to remember, it was the Batman premiere. That was out in Colorado. Yeah. This guy's house, he had, 5 or 6 movie theaters surrounding him. He went to the only movie theater that was the farthest away from his house that had no firearms allowed signs. So the motive is that, nobody else is going to have a gun, and exactly, they can't fight fire with fire. These shooters are crazy, but they're not dumb. Exactly. They're going to places that are firearm-free zones. Good point. Well, I always found that hilarious, like walking into a bank and they have like the picture of a gun and it's like no guns allowed. Yeah. Like I'm gonna rob this bank, but there's this sign here. I can't. Like. Well, I mean, it's just a really good example of what you're talking about there. Is, you know, we take guns. You talk about, okay, so it says no guns. We're not allowed to have guns there. Criminals aren't going to give a shit about that. Right. You know, it's the same thing. It's like, if we don't have guns and no one gets shot, if guns are illegal, then we don't have to worry about all the gun deaths. Well, how did that work for meth? Meth is still a huge problem, but it's still illegal. Sure. You know, how many parties have you gone to, someone smoking a doobie? Sure. It's still illegal. You know, underage drinking, still illegal. I agree. Everybody's doing it. I think if somebody wants something bad enough, they're going to get it. Especially if there's a demand in the entire marketplace. If a collective, like, group of people want something, they'll get it. They'll find a way to get it. Like, whatever that may be. And I also think that the biggest problem with this and really any political debate is I hate how it's so it's so polarizing. Like hey, I'm on this team. Like it's almost like tribal. It's like, hey, I'm on this team, fuck your team. But ultimately, I think everybody would mutually agree that we want less school shootings. We want less of these shootings to occur. It's just two different methods of getting there.
Yeah.
And everybody's pushing their agenda, and, just because they disagree, it's like, oh, fuck the other side. No, that's not the best way to look at it.
We've got this weird situation where everybody wants the same thing. Democrats demonize Republicans demonize Democrats, but we both want less people to die.
Exactly.
But we just have two different ways of getting there, and that's what polarizes us. That's, myself, I would say that, more guns or more ownership and more people understanding, not more guns. We've already got more guns than we do people here in this country. But more people understanding how it works and how the process works, and more of our officers, and not to detract from them because it's a need we have, but people reporting the crimes, like the kid shooting the chicken, that's animal abuse. That's a lot of things.
Right.
He's been called on multiple times. And then the Democrats, they want to take guns away completely. That's obvious. That's not going to stop it.
I don't think that's the best alternative either. And people. I'm sure there are people, whether they're listening or not, that would get angry at us, for us stating this opinion about gun laws. But ultimately, like you said, and we both agreed on, we all want the same outcome. So why are you getting angry at us just because we believe this is the best alternative or best route of how we can get there?
And this is, like you said, it's a polarizing topic. I wouldn't be surprised if half of your viewers, some of them like, that guy, don't ever bring that guy on again. He's a dick.
Right,
The other half is like, yeah, go, dude.
Yeah.
People, they get so upset about something that we really need to sit down and talk. The worst thing you can do in the world is stop talking to people that you have a differing opinion with.
I agree. I think there's a lot of power in being able to actively listen with somebody you disagree with. I think that's extremely important, and it's a lot harder too. Not everybody's capable of doing it.
No,
or they don't choose to.
I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with friends of mine that are very, very liberal. They're anti-gun. Yeah, basically everything that they think about politically is exact opposite of what I think of.
Right.
And we still walk away friends every single time.
Exactly.
We'll sit there and drink and talk crap and go over every policy that we hate and like and la-da-da-da-da and still walk away and be friends.
That's why...
And there's just not enough of that.
Exactly. That's it. I think it all kind of goes back to why we are unable to clearly communicate our intentions. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think communication in itself, language, is kind of restrictive in that aspect. To where we don't fully know somebody else's intentions, so we question them, do they want the best for this country, or do they want these school shootings? Especially whenever you demonize somebody and you view them through that perspective of so much hatred towards them.
Oh yeah.
It's just you start to question their intentions. So I think communication in itself is kind of restrictive. Yeah, I'm good for all that.
Yeah, communication is key, and people, they dance around what they want to actually say a lot. This PC culture that we've created.
What do you mean by PC?
Politically correct.
Oh.
It's the worst, isn't it?
It sucks.
And have you seen what it's doing to comedy? You can't even make a joke anymore without someone getting offended. It doesn't even matter what the joke is.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
It's ridiculous.
I'm a firm believer in the idea of stand-up comedy being a free-flowing platform of somebody to express.
So you're a huge freedom of speech advocate.
Absolutely. I think
that's good. That's good.
Everybody has something to say. Whether you have something I completely disagree with, I would love to have somebody I completely disagree with and debate with them objectively without getting butthurt about their opinions versus mine, because ultimately I think everybody's better at me in some way, shape, or form, and that's what I've really learned through this podcast is somebody, you can learn something from everybody, whether you agree with them or not. And typically the people you disagree with, you can at least you at least try to see it from their point of view, whether you can or can't. Like, I think that's really important.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is. You should be able to say what you think. You could have an opinion on, like, let's just talking about guns. I'm pro Second Amendment. Let's say you're anti Second Amendment,
right?
And I hate what you have to say. Your opinion is dumb, but it's still your opinion, and you have the right to say it.
Exactly.
And that's secured by our First Amendment.
And then, it bugs the shit out of me, especially, in Fox News debates, or I'm sure CNN has the same thing, but, whenever they get two people on and they only have, a minute to speak, and they're both just trying to get their rants out, and
they're yelling over each other, it doesn't accomplish anything.
Nothing. No, it just makes you, disagree with them more, and it's even more polarizing for each one.
I don't deal with mainstream media anymore. It's a crapshoot. Whether you're talking CNN, Fox, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you line up. They're all a crapshoot. They've all got an agenda that they're trying to push, and they'll skew the facts any way they want.
Absolutely.
To try and make sure their agenda is the one that's on top. And I don't like that.
No, I think that's agree.
That's what I was talking about earlier with misinformation. There's so much misinformation that flies around. People are jumping on stories that they don't have the full facts to, and I think it's really damaging to spew out false facts or skewed facts, or put out a story that you don't have all the information on, so you're making stuff up in the middle.
Right.
It's really damaging to the American public.
Absolutely. And because it's gonna get different reactions, different actions that people are gonna carry on in the future. A good example of that is I read some misinformation. I should have done more research after considering it, but so I read online that if you sit in a sauna for 175 degrees at 175 degrees for 20 minutes, that it burns 500 calories. So I used to sit in the sauna every single day for I don't know whether, regardless of the amount of time, I'm thinking I'm burning calories when I'm sitting there. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting in here, I'm burning calories after my workout. I can cut on top of this. I come to find out. And I still don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's bullshit. I'm pretty sure that fact is complete bullshit. It sounds like
bullshit.
It does sound like bullshit.
No, I wouldn't even want to do that.
Sauna?
Does it hurt? After a while? As hot as it'd be?
I wouldn't say it hurts.
It's
are you saying uncomfortable?
Yeah.
It's
uncomfortable, not hurts. Not
I would say I can feel my head starting to get hot. Like my brain.
Oof.
That's
probably not good.
Yeah, I'll get a slight headache, and I've gotten dizzy in there. I've sat in there an hour before because I thought I was cutting weight. And
I'm no doctor, but I'd say that's probably not good for you.
It's not good for you.
If you can feel your brain heating up,
it's not good.
Maybe that's why you act the way you do, huh?
Yeah. That explains a lot. It's it all makes sense. Find out somebody's born on Friday the 13th. You're like, oh, that's why.
That's why you're wearing the mask. Oh.
Reminds me of. What were you saying?
Yeah. On the same kind of the gun control stuff. Did you see the? I thought it was a satire post at first. There's a school in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That is planning on arming their students with rocks in case a school shooter shows up.
They're arming their students with rocks. Mm-hmm. That's what?
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought it was satire at first, and then it spread, and it was on Fox News, and it was on CNN, and it was on some of the other podcasts that I watched, and I was like, oh my god, this is a real story.
What the?
I thought
hell?
It was a joke. What at the end of the day, what are you gonna do? A school shooter walks in here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. You went to the extent of throwing your phone. That's awesome.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just imagining you. It's the same idea as trying to fight a transformer with a gun. You know what I mean?
Not gonna do a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna take a while.
And how accessible are they gonna keep those rocks? That's just gonna be weight in their backpack. I'd quit bringing that shit to school. I know for a fact I would. I'd be like, well, this is going to do nothing if a school shooter comes, so I'm not, there's no way I'm not bringing this.
I mean, I know, if someone's throwing rocks at me, and it's someone I'm trying to get, I know my first reaction is going to be start pulling that trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would probably be worse. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you got a bunch of rocks being thrown at you, you're trying to avoid getting hit in the face, so you're probably going to cover your face somehow or turn it, and you're not going to be as accurate.
Right.
So I guess there could be some benefits to it. but it just seems like it seems like a stretch as far as protection goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be beneficial, but I feel like there's probably better ways to go about it.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, that's, I don't even know what to say about that. Honestly, I have no idea. Like I said,
I thought it was fake at first.
That sounds fake.
It sounds fake as hell. And true. Absolutely true.
How many rocks per student?
I have no idea. I read the story, and it was just kind of a short few paragraphs of, they're planning on this, and because of this. And
that's just assuming all those students can throw, man.
Yeah. What if they walk into the art class? What's going to happen then? He's not one of the drama class. He's not one of them kids that knows how to throw a rock. Not hard enough to hurt anybody.
They're going just straight accuracy, just like just barely taps them.
Yeah. Instead of going into gun-free zone specifically, they're avoiding the gym and the locker rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to art class and English lounge.
That's funny.
That's a horrible, dark joke. I'm so sorry.
Well, just like we were saying with stand-up comedy, like, I think that's the biggest part of stand-up is, like, that's what's so cool about it to me. Because if I'm watching TV, it's either a documentary or it's, like, a cool YouTube video that's interesting or, like, a TED Talk or stand-up.
Oh, I love TED Talk.
Same. But, like, that's what's so cool about stand-up comedy is, like, you could say whatever the fuck you want. Mm-hmm. And, like, a lot of their opinions on there, like, they, for example, I'm going into marketing, and they say, but there's this guy I was watching, his name's Sam Kinison, he's from, like, I think he's from the 80s or something. But he's like, his big joke was, like, fuck, like, if you're into marketing, fuck you or something. And obviously that targets me, and I disagree with it, but I was like, oh, this is a funny joke. Like,
yeah. There's I think a really clever bit about being a redneck out in the woods, and he talks again talking about incest and messing around with your sister, like we were talking, that kind of stuff, and I think it's hilarious.
Right.
I'm a redneck from the woods. It's still funny.
Exactly. I think a lot of the problem lies is people are too egotistical and they're not able to laugh at themselves.
People get butt hurt real fast.
Oh yes.
And it's that's what we were talking about. Communication's key, and people are too entitled to their own ego. They're too wrapped up in their own ego, not entitled, but wrapped up in their own ego that they can't take a joke.
Exactly.
If you can't laugh at yourself, who are you going to laugh at?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's really important. Be able to make fun of yourself too.
Mm-hmm. I do it all the time. I make fat kid jokes on a regular basis.
Exactly, and it makes life a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It took me a long time to become comfortable with who and what I am. Been a fat kid. I was an 11-pound, 1-ounce baby. I was a big baby.
Okay.
And my whole life I've been fat. Had to deal with that. And then in middle school, still a little fat kid, but I was tired of being made fun of.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know what to do. And my mom had a People magazine, and in it said that 70% of women are more likely to date an ugly guy if he's funny. And I thought, okay, I just have to be funny from here on out.
Right.
And so I started working at it in middle school, and it made my high school a whole lot better because of that. I wasn't just the fat kid anymore. I was the funny fat kid.
Okay.
Then I was the funny fat kid on the football team. Then I was the funny fat kid on the football team that played the tuba. Funny fat kid that could drink and throw parties. It's just developing yourself.
Exactly.
So,
getting comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah,
for who you
that's
are.
A process.
Exactly.
Everybody deals with self-esteem issues, and it's just you got to learn how to develop yourself, make yourself a better person,
and accept yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the first step of self-love. Honestly. Being able to accept yourself. I mean, it makes sense because I feel like the first step of loving somebody else is to be able to accept them for who they are, for what they are, what they stand for. Like,
have you ever seen the video? It's a little Mexican kid, and he says, "I love myself, even though I look like a burnt potato or a burnt chicken nugget.
No.
I still love myself." Oh, it's phenomenal.
Oh, it's funny. I love myself. Does it kind of sound like that?
Yeah. He's just a little fat kid. So I identify with him, I get it.
That is really important, being able to laugh at yourself. So what do you think the difference between living and existing is?
Living and existing. If you're truly living, you're doing things that you enjoy.
Okay.
You're actually experiencing life as it is in front of you, whether it's good or it's bad. I think existing, at least in the human mind of ourselves, would be more just working for the paycheck and paying for what you have and not doing anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Life is all about experiences. If you want to truly enjoy living, you have to enjoy the experiences that you have through life.
Okay.
And if you want to just exist, you don't have to do anything. You just have to be. Does that make sense?
I do like that. Do you think it's important to live for like every moment or just particular moments?
I'm actually gonna quote the Bible here. There's a beautiful quote in the Bible that says, "Live every day like it's your last, and plan like you're gonna live forever."
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't totally understand the planning like you're going to live forever.
So live every day like it's your last day.
Right.
Enjoy what you have for that day.
Uh-huh.
But also, plan like you're going to live forever. 100 years from now, you don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. At least this is my interpretation of it.
You're right. It is very like a subjective interpretation.
Yeah, you have to interpret it for yourself. But my interpretation of it would be to enjoy the moments that you have, but to plan for your future. So
yeah, totally.
Don't spend every night going out drinking and partying, even though that's fun, but go ahead and go do it on the weekend.
Right.
But make sure, throughout the week, like your day-to-day life, enjoy the conversations you have with people. Enjoy that cheeseburger that you've had 3 days in a row. But also, don't blow it,
Mm-hmm.
While you're enjoying that cheeseburger, also remember that 10 years from now, you're not going to be in the same position you are right now. You got to plan to be in a better position.
Absolutely. Just like we were saying before the podcast, otherwise you end up working at Walmart at 80 years old.
Yeah.
Trying to plan it. Like, not on leisure, like, literally trying to provide for yourself.
Working at being a 50-year-old manager at a McDonald's.
Right. Oh, that's so depressing for me to see.
Yeah, isn't it?
Like, dude, every time I see, like, anybody working at fast food, especially the ones that you can just tell, like, they died mentally, position. Like, years ago. Like
they're just existing.
Exactly. I would say that's the biggest difference. I bet attitude, perspective, I think those are two important things. What was the quote on the Bible again? Because I had a different interpretation.
I think that was the quote, but it was, live every day like it's your last, and plan like you're going to live forever, is roughly the quote.
Okay. Yeah, I would... I guess you also like planning to live forever, like have things to look forward to, like being able to be like, I got a soccer game tonight, or I got
a reason to get up every morning and again enjoying the small things in life, but planning for the future at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that a lot. Steve Jobs has a quote, something along those lines too. Pretty much he's like if you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, if this was my last day on earth, would I be satisfied with the result? And if you get there and you say no a few times, like, change something.
That's
like, fucking change
that.
something.
I might switch that one up, start using it as a Bible quote. Using the Bible quote makes me seem like I'm some kind of Christian freak, like a hardcore Christian, whatever.
Right.
It's really not the case.
Yeah, I didn't attach any connotation to it whatsoever.
See, most people do. If you...
There's a lot of ancient truth in the Bible, honestly.
There is.
I'm the same way. I wouldn't consider myself to be very religious, but like, there's a lot of awesome shit in the Bible.
I'm not very religious either, but I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from religions. Not even just Christianity, all of them.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got massive different ideals in all these religions, and they're from ancient histories, ancient truths, like you said. And I think there's a lot of things that if people would study it more, we'd learn a lot more.
Right.
Talking like moral grounds. We've got the 10 Commandments, and I think that's important to live by that. And then there's similar stuff throughout every other religion that's close to it. I think it's important to kind of set up your moral navigator.
Absolutely.
Learning good from bad.
Absolutely. And I guess being able to establish those values within yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which that can stem from religion, or it can stem from your own personal life experience. But religion is the ideology is going to give you a broader perspective. So I agree. I think it is something to take into consideration.
I think if you study religion like you would a class, it'll give you a broader perspective. But I think in a lot of cases, people will live by a religion rather than study a religion, and they'll narrow their perspective.
I agree.
I know we see it a lot in some of the worst parts of Christianity. All the God hates the gays and stuff like that. Like I said, narrowing your perspective like that is really, you're not opening your mind enough to truly get a good perspective on what's going on around you.
Absolutely.
You've narrowed your mind to one single goal, and by doing that, you've lost all of these opportunities that are around you.
You're only limiting yourself.
Yep.
Closing yourself off to the rest of the world.
Exactly.
This is funny because this girl specifically asked me, please do not talk about me on a podcast. Cool girl, not going to say her name, but she basically, I went to church with this girl, and I was really happy that I went because I was opening myself up. Like, I realized that I had been closed off because I had a negative experience, like falling out with my old middle school. And it was a Christian school, so I kind of started associate. Like, they made my mom cry on the phone one day, and I was just like from that moment on, I was like, fuck this school. Then I started to say, fuck that religion. Not like to an extreme, but like to some extent, I was living with that paradigm.
Walk against it.
Exactly, and I was closed off to it, and I realized that within myself after going to church with her. So I was super grateful that she came into my life for that reason. But
that's cool.
I had something else I was going to say going off of that, but but her, on the contrary, she had, for example, we debated abortion one night, and I'm not even going to get into
it's a rough topic.
My opinion is pro-choice because I'm all about freedom, right? But I'm also I'm very objective with that. I see other sides, and she was unwilling to admit any. She was only able to see the pro-life side, and I'm able to see that argument as well. That makes a lot of sense to me as well. But I was trying to explain the pro-choice, and she's like, "No, that's wrong." I'm like, "Why is that wrong?" And she's like, pretty much just begged the question. She's like it's wrong because it's wrong. I was like, okay,
yeah. So that's her moral compass screaming off the edges because you disagreed.
Exactly, and it's not just that topic.
Understand how you could possibly disagree.
Exactly.
Now, me personally on abortion, I just put this out there. I really don't care. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I'm concerned about when it comes to abortion is I don't want it to be taxpayer funded. I don't think that should be a taxpayer problem.
That's fair.
Other than that, I don't care.
Okay.
And like you're saying, there's a lot of people on both sides that they don't understand how the other side doesn't see it their way.
Exactly.
In their mind, it makes perfect sense, and they have no clue that the morals of person A is different than theirs.
Right.
So it confuses people.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what was going on in that situation.
Oh, it's frustrating.
And we've all been there. You see someone doing something, you're like, why? That's so dumb. In their mind, in their world, it probably makes sense.
Right.
Like the guy picking his nose and eating it going down the street. In his world, that was probably perfectly fine. Me sitting there, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
The fuck are you doing, man? Yeah, good point. It's justification to yourself.
Just look at the definition of evil. I mean, evil is how others perceive your actions.
Really?
So, how... you're looking it up, aren't you?
Because I'm getting that computer back up because it turned itself off.
But it's we all perceive. Well, here you go. Hitler. Everybody perceives Hitler as this horrible, evil person that was trying to kill so many people.
Right.
But the people that were under Hitler, they loved him.
They saw him probably as a god almost.
Right. We all see him as evil because that's where our morals stand.
Right.
But his actions to them were beneficial.
Exactly.
And same thing, obviously that's an extreme example, but we have that same kind of where our perspective, we look at somebody and say, that's dumb, why are you doing that?
I agree.
I had to go on an extreme example there. I felt like it would make the most...
No, that was a great example and very great comparison, like on why the importance of considering other points of view. Because it really is. I mean, it seems to be kind of the reoccurring trend of this podcast, but like, I think it's one of the most overlooked things out there, like right now.
Yeah.
Like just other people just unwilling to admit the other side is possibly right. Why? Because they disagree with them. That's fucking
I think we got a theme going here.
What's that?
Communication is key.
Absolutely.
It seems like what everything keeps coming back to. It really is. We don't have enough people talking to each other and trying to figure out their ideas.
Absolutely. And I'll have to throw you a compliment because you're a very good communicator. You really are.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
No problem. What's the difference between a house and a home?
That's actually kind of easy. A house is just a building, and a home is like memories and creation.
Like family?
Yeah.
Community?
A home is where you are comfortable, loved, accepted. Even if you live by yourself, it's. We were talking about art earlier. When you decorate your living room or whatever, that's an expression of yourself. You're making it a home. A house is just a building.
Yeah, absolutely. Customizable to yourself.
Yeah.
To who you are. Yeah, I would agree with that. So I guess with that being said, so you inherit a house, but you make it your own home.
Yeah.
Through whatever you decide to throw up in there, customize it. Okay. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like even though you can customize a place, but it's still like like you can throw up all your favorite posters, whatever you decide to put in there, your favorite TV, your favorite lanterns.
Still not feel comfortable.
Yeah. You still don't get that homey vibe.
I don't know. I guess on that, I'm still going to stand by home is where you feel comfortable.
Okay.
You're happy. So if you've got a house that you've decorated yourself and you're sitting on the couch and you're just content, that's a home.
Okay.
If you're sitting on the couch and going, I hate this place. It's just a house to you. It's not your. It's just your residence. It's not your home.
So let's throw this out there. Like, I used to work at a restaurant, and there were regulars that would come in, and very frequently, because we're creatures of habit, they would just come in like every single day at a particular time. Do you think if a home is somewhere that you're always comfortable at, do you think maybe a particular place that you go and sit down and eat every day, that's also considered a home because it's where your comfort zone lies?
Yeah, I can see that. The phrase "home is where the heart is." There was a point in time where, for me, home was driving all the time, being on the road.
Right.
That's where I wanted to be more than anywhere else. That was where I was most comfortable. Going on a 16-hour trip to Michigan and back, that made me happy. Coming back and staying in my house, it was a house.
Right.
So, home is where the heart is, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, someone goes, you're working at the restaurant, someone comes in, that's where they feel the best, the safest.
Absolutely.
That'd be home.
Yeah, that is a cool perspective. So I guess if you keep challenging your comfort zone, then you can take that comfort, like, and in result, finding more comfort and being uncomfortable, you could take that comfort anywhere you go. Yeah. And you can make this entire world your comfort zone.
That'd be hard to do, but theoretically, yeah, you can do it.
So you think the people that are living, like, I don't know, say like the 60-year-olds that have lived in the same house for the past 30 years and don't want change, they prefer that security, do you think they struggle to like leave their comfort zone? Or do you think
yeah, they struggle to. I think when you start aging, as younger people, we tend to, especially us, being social, we tend to go out and try and do things and meet people and experience new things all the time. So we're constantly expanding our comfort zone.
Right.
And talking about the 60-year-old, they've been through all that. And they're getting to a point where they'd rather stay home and just relax.
Okay.
And be calm. So they've expanded their comfort zone and then they decreased it again.
Absolutely.
And it, not always for the worse, Sometimes the safety and security of just being in your own home is relaxing.
Especially if you had that constant change growing up, too. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, I feel like the older you get, this is something I want to do carrying into the future. I keep want to be challenging that comfort zone. Whether I still live in the same house, like I'm totally cool with that. But if I'm, like for example, I still want to be challenging my comfort zone when it comes to maybe I'm scared to go try out a yoga class because it would be uncomfortable for me because I'm the only guy in the class and I feel judged and all these preconceived notions in my own mind that I think people are going to be thinking that are going to make me feel uncomfortable. But in reality, it's just, like, I want to keep challenging that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You should keep challenging. Like, I mean, my example would be I was raised out in the woods. All I knew was rednecks and hillbillies. Then 2 years ago, I moved to Springfield. I probably would have never talked to a college guy, someone like you, or any of these anybody here in Springfield, because in my mind it would have just been they're a bunch of city slickers.
Right.
Now I've pushed my comfort zone. I've met new people, and you kind of realize that they're just people.
People are people.
Yeah, expanding your comfort zone is really important in expanding your mind too.
True.
Your perspective of how the world works.
Because then you close yourself off to. Then you don't close yourself off to different ideas, different possibilities, different people.
Yeah, it's living in the woods is no longer the only way to live, as far as I'm concerned. There's better options, and I would like to move back to the country, but I'm not going to be one of those weird rednecks living out in a shack,
True.
So
who knows? Maybe you could go to the city, get a complete change. Then you've lived a myriad of aspects of life.
Yeah, I mean, I think Springfield's a city. I've been to Chicago. I don't like Chicago.
Oh, really?
I've been to D.C. Didn't care for it. I've been in Austin, Dallas. I've been in a lot of major cities. And I, at this point in my life, would not want to live in them at all. It just seems too compacted.
Absolutely.
And I like to free flow with it,
It is Chicago. Very compacted.
Chicago, there are some cool things to go in Chicago. There's this awesome restaurant called Lou Malnati's.
Lou Malnati's?
Yeah. Okay. I know, it sounds like Illuminati.
It does.
It's Lou, L-O-U, Malnati.
Okay.
And you buy a pizza there. It's like that thick.
Okay.
It's huge. It's delicious. And of course, they've got the Fieldhouse Museum.
So it's like the notorious Chicago-style pizza kind of deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a big old pie.
Oh, there you go.
Cheese. Fieldhouse Museum, that's definitely worth going to up there. After that, that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I was actually up there just 2-3 weeks ago with one of my roommates and one of my best friends from back home. It was a really good time.
What'd you guys do?
Pretty much just biked around the city. Got our car towed. That was super fucking awesome. It was one of the most savage things I've ever seen in my entire life because I walked up to this tow truck driver, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what he was doing exactly, but we parked in this lot, and I'm like, hey, would you mind taking our picture real quick? And he takes a picture of us, because we were fortunate enough to rent a Dodge Charger, so we had this nice car for the weekend, and they washed it right before we got there, at the car dealership. So it was looking really nice and slick too. So I'm like, hey, would you mind taking our picture in front of this car real quick? And he's like, yeah, man, no problem. And we talked to him for a little bit, get our picture taken. We leave the car, go rent bikes, ride bikes around for 3 hours, get our bikes back just in time. Or no, we get back just in time before our parking time expires. Mm-hmm. We go back and our car's towed. So the guy who took our picture literally towed our car after we left.
Dick move.
I know. And it was all because it was the most meticulous thing. This is the thing I don't like about big cities. Whenever they look at you, they don't see people. When you look at somebody, you see a person. And I would agree with that. But most people there, it seemed like they were looking at me and they see dollar signs. So what they do is they rely on this one meticulous detail that whenever you pay for this parking pass or this parking whatever, you put the receipt of that in or on the dashboard of your car so that you don't get towed. Otherwise, we paid for it, but we forgot to put the receipt there. We thought we'd bring the receipt with us so that we'd have proof.
You didn't even know you needed to put the receipt there, did you?
No, and it was an Uber expense. I don't know how much that was because my buddy paid for it, fortunately. Shout out Joe Arms. And then my other buddy had to pay for the car because, yeah. So it was like $200, $300. I think it was like $275 or something like that.
See, I spent about the same amount when I was in Chicago, but that was all for fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the first time I went through Chicago. I was driving my truck, and I had a 48-foot enclosed trailer, right?
Oh, wow.
We sat at a stoplight for probably 2 hours, and they're doing the Children's Miracle Network Marathon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sat there for 2 hours. We ended up just shutting the truck off because we weren't going anywhere.
Oh, so you're implying you and a partner?
Yeah, my dad.
Okay.
Was with me on that one, so...
Well, at least that worked out then. I mean, it sounds like I'd rather be in the car stuck with my dad than like just a random coworker.
Well, sometimes, yeah, but
good point.
Yeah, family business stuff can get rough, but at the same time, you're always gonna end up having each other's backs.
True.
So he's helped me through a lot of stuff, and I've tried to do my best to help him out too. So it just goes back and forth. So there's benefits and downfalls of working with family members.
Right.
If working with family members, you got a lot less chance of getting fired.
Yeah, good
So
point.
that's always a plus. You can mess up a lot more and not get into as much trouble. Honestly, if it weren't for my dad, I probably wouldn't have gone on all the trips that I did to begin with. He was kind of the one that helped me get started on all that stuff.
Oh, there you go.
The first load that we ever booked was a Jeep Grand Cherokee that was out of Oklahoma going down to Florida. And so we went down to, we took it down to Florida, and we picked up a Corvette in Tallahassee.
Okay.
We took the Corvette back here to Springfield. Well, the guy that loaded the Corvette onto our trailer destroyed the front end of it. I mean, all of the plastic on the fiberglass of the front bumper was all torn to crap. And so we get it up there, and we had told the guy, this is what happened. We took pictures. He says, load it anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm fine with that. Bring it up.
Right.
Okay. Mind you, this is a 2005 convertible Corvette with the LS motor in it. I mean, nice car. Almost perfect condition until this guy tore it the bumper. We get it up there. We unload it. Guy had no problem. Paid us. We were good to go. Till about a week later, we get a call that we're being sued.
What?
Yeah. So we get a call that we're being sued from the site that we went through. Well, we got it dropped because it turns out that he had not only tried to sue us for damaging the car, he tried to sue the people who loaded the car, the impound lot we picked it up from. He tried to sue the site that we went through to book the car, and he tried to sue eBay.
So this guy was just sue happy.
Yeah. Now, if he had just gone after me and my dad or the impound lot, might have gotten away with it.
But he decided to get greedy.
But he went after everybody, and I mean, we learned a lot from that, experience. We got lucky, but it would have been a really rough ordeal.
Yeah, honestly,
I didn't have to pay for. Go ahead.
He just sounds like a little bit mentally ill.
He's got enough money to buy a Corvette, so you can't complain too much, right?
How did he get that money? Probably sued somebody.
That's probably true.
What a weird concept. Oh, this is a deep question. Wow.
Uh-oh.
What should be the goal of humanity?
Whoa.
That's so subjective. So many different routes.
There's... I don't even know how to answer that.
I don't even know how to answer that. It's
like, what should humanity's end goal be? I mean, you could... World peace, maybe?
I mean, it's never been accomplished before, so that could be a goal.
But I don't know that there's any route that we could actually go to achieve world peace, other than not even that. Because even if we try to revert ourselves back to like a natural part of, no buildings or cars or anything like that, just trying to be a part of nature. Even then, we're still going to fight for resources.
Yeah, true.
So, is there any real way we could achieve world peace?
I would say outlawing war, but apparently war's already been outlawed.
Yeah.
They made war illegal in I think it was the 1930s.
It's like Geneva Convention stuff, right?
I'm not sure,
I don't know the history. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, look up Wait, what would I even Google? When was war illegal?
I guess.
When was... Well, it came up. Yeah, so whenever people go to war now, they are actually breaking a world law. I don't know how you make a world law, though.
What year was that enacted, I guess? Because I'm curious to see. We got World War II. Obviously, you said something about the 30s. World War II would have been late 30s, early 40s. And then, obviously, we've got the wars that America has placed on other countries. Vietnam, Korea.
Few still understand where these rules came from. A now almost forgotten agreement known as the Paris Peace Pact of 1928 that was eventually signed by all the nations of the world and had the immodest goal of outlawing war.
Wow.
I love the intentions there, but it just sounds so unrealistic, and obviously it hasn't worked.
No, I mean, we've got how many wars just in the past century alone?
Right.
And...
Wow, 1928. 1928,
Yeah.
think about that, just a few years later.
I mean, like I said,
The
World
40s.
War II,
Yeah.
and Korea, and Vietnam, and then Iraq, and everything we're doing over in the Middle East.
And that's just the U.S.
Yeah.
Who knows where else?
You know, it doesn't count, all the African tribe wars that they're having out there. It doesn't count, the cartel wars out of South America. Heck, I mean, recently Russia going into, what was it, Ukraine or something?
I did hear about that.
That was a couple years ago. But still, that's like
They try
within
to-
the past decade,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the way to achieve world peace would be to eliminate jealousy, greed, hate. So how do we
Oh.
achieve that?
The way to achieve world peace would be to remove human nature.
Yeah, so it's just impractical.
It's impossible.
Right.
Because when you remove human nature, jealousy, greed, everything, we're just emotionless robots. We're nothing but instinct.
Do you think if we were able to achieve a higher state of consciousness through a more informed public, that the general consensus is world peace? It's really abstract and really out there to say that we could get 7 billion people on that same path, though.
No.
I agree. I don't know if it is possible, unfortunately.
You would have to have some kind of crazy Hunger Games dystopia to get it even set on the right track.
True.
I don't know. So that you're not going to be able to attain world peace, and now you got to change the original question: what is the goal of humanity?
Yeah, true.
So now we got to go back to that. We got to go all the way back to the beginning, and I still don't know the answer.
I don't know either.
I don't know if there is an answer.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. We're all just kind of floating around on this massive rock, just spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. But we all just, the I guess, meaning of life is completely subjective to each and every one of us.
Yeah.
What's going to make you happy might make me miserable, so.
Well, you must not like cars then, at all. Because that's what makes me happy.
I'm actually, I have a weird perspective on cars, because I think it's so cool, because I had a guest on the other night. He was just telling me, he's like, I love the way, I forgot what the particular motor was, but he's like, I just love the way, I think it was a V8 sounds in comparison to a V6. And he's like, I just love the way it starts up, and he was getting a blissful joy out of talking about cars, and it was really cool for me to experience, because my perspective and just how I view cars is I think they're cool and obviously a great innovation that humanity's been able to accomplish, but I just see them as getting from point A to point B.
So, just like anything else, what's something you really enjoy doing?
Let's say playing soccer, doing jiu-jitsu, for example.
Yeah, you love doing athletic stuff.
Right.
Sports, soccer specifically.
Okay.
You go out on the field and you have a great time every single time. Same way, he's talking about how much he loves the cars. Same thing. That's what he enjoys. And so you don't understand what his infatuation with it.
No, that's the thing is I understand the feeling, so I don't need to understand it. Like I get the feeling
Okay,
because I understand the feeling so well. Like that just I guess passion, that love.
I got it. You don't have to get hit by a brick to know that it hurts, but you do have to get hit by a brick to know how it hurts. Same thing with the mind frame. Does it make sense?
Can you say that one more time?
You don't have to get hit by a brick to know that it hurts.
Right.
But you do have to get hit by a brick to know how it hurts.
Exactly.
So you understand the feeling, just not why.
Exactly. And I understand that people do get that. Yeah. I maybe that's the point, like, of how to get world peace, because I think that that feeling in itself, if everybody was able to accomplish that feeling, because I think we live in a almost insatiable culture, like we're constantly looking outward for all these things, but they like very unfulfilled culture. So I would say maybe if we found a way to provide more fulfillment, so like that gratification, that great feeling, if we were able to achieve that on like an optimal level amongst like most of humanity, maybe that would achieve world peace.
The problem is that
it's unrealistic.
Well, not even that. It's humans constantly want more. It's like in America, we're a consumerism culture, big time. We always try to get the bigger house and the nicer car and the better technology and la da da da. You know, our needs here, like me, I'm trying to save up money so I can get a new motor in my Classic. You know, I've got a classic car that I want to build. That's my main concern right now. Whereas little kid in Africa, his main concern is where his next meal is going to come from.
Right.
Well, he's going to get his next meal, he's going to want to eat again. Well, you give him food for life, he's going to want more.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. You know, I'm going to get that motor, and I'm going to want a bigger, better motor later. And you just have a constant need to, you say fulfillment, we have a constant need to increase our fulfillment. We have a constant need to have more, you know.
Absolutely.
And so our fulfillment doesn't always, it constantly rises.
So, is there a way to like just be content with what you have?
Take away human nature.
Yeah, exactly.
And right back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Man,
Life's a weird battle, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all of us, we need to find that level of contentment, but at the same, and like be grateful for what we do have, but at the same time strive to achieve more. I think that's like finding the balance between that is one of the ways to live a healthy lifestyle, I guess.
I'll agree with that. Fulfillment comes from constant improvement, I think. You know, you're constantly making yourself better. You're developing yourself in certain skills that you want to achieve. Developing your financial stability and how you feel about where you're living and your home, you know. And so it's a constant development of that, and that's why your fulfillment is constantly increasing. It's kind of like we were talking about, you're constantly increasing your comfort zone, or expanding your comfort zone. You're constantly expanding the level you need to hit your fulfillment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that perspective a lot. So you think it's important to like have an end goal?
I think it's important to have goals, and when you achieve them, to create more goals.
I like that. I like the wording of that a lot better than an end goal too.
Mm-hmm. Like if your goal is to run a successful business, when you're going to constantly work to achieve a successful business. When you have a successful business, well, what do you do from there?
True.
Well, your next goal would be to have a more successful business, or start another business. You grow your company. It's like your baby, you know?
Yeah, I do like that, yeah.
Set a goal, achieve it, keep moving forward. Set another goal.
And the goal of doing that is to live a meaningful life, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe that's what the meaning of life is.
To find meaning?
Well, maybe not to find meaning, but to... Well, yeah. The goal of life, or the meaning of life is to find meaning. To reach goals.
I can see that. Finding a purpose for your life. I will say that's where a lot of like lasting fulfillment comes from.
Yeah.
If you like have something
Absolutely.
you're always working towards, and like okay, this is why I'm here on this earth. This is why I'm here. So you don't have to question your existence as much.
It's interesting. We got really philosophical on that.
We did. We did. I like that question. Cool. That was actually all the questions.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your business you started?
You mean the one that failed? The trucking?
Yep. I didn't realize it failed though.
Oh yeah. No, it went belly up. But it was fun while I did it, and I did make quite a bit of money while I was doing it. But it started out, like I said, my dad and I kind of started doing it after high school. We were hauling cars cross country, we were finding loads off of a site, and I'm not going to name it because I'll probably get in trouble if they find it. Like we were talking about, it technically wasn't legal. It technically wasn't illegal. It was kind of that borderline,
shady area, kind of gray area.
Technically, I'm okay, but if I get caught, I'm probably going to get into some kind of trouble.
No, I get that.
So, I think I would have been 19 at the time, and right after high school, I wanted to travel. I wanted to make money doing it. I didn't want to be one of those kids that just took off for a while and then ended up stuck in California or something, calling Dad to fly me back,
Right.
I wanted to make my own money. And so I figured out a way to book loads and haul cars and trucks and stuff cross country. And I went almost everywhere. I mean, I think the only states that I haven't been to at this point would be Arizona, California, Washington, Oregon, and Nevada.
Did you say Arizona earlier too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never been to Arizona.
Okay.
So I've been all up and down the East Coast.
That's crazy.
Most everywhere south. I've been to Alaska and Hawaii, but not during that trip. Because that was all by, you have to fly to Hawaii and Alaska. That's a long trip. Trying to drive that, I can't imagine.
Absolutely.
Ended up making a lot of regular customers, specifically up in Michigan, which we've talked about that a few times. And at one point, I was hauling. He would buy trucks out of Texas, and I would haul them from wherever he bought them in Texas up to Michigan. And that's like, I think we were charging him like 97 cents a mile or something like that. That adds up real quick.
No, absolutely.
So we were making a lot of money that way, and it was fun. Got to go up to Michigan, got to experience a lot of things. You can't get a decent glass of sweet tea or anything spicy anywhere up north.
No way.
It's ridiculous.
Really?
We went to a cafe, and they had a burger that they called the Flame something.
Oh, like saying it was going to be hot?
It was supposed to be like super hot. The Dairy Queen flamethrower has more spice to it than this burger did.
I've never tried the flamethrower before,
It's not that spicy.
It's
got a little bit of a spice to it, but it's not that spicy. You feel the heat, but it's not that bad.
Right. That's funny because I had a Mexican friend growing up, and he's like he could handle so much more heat than I could.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like spicy stuff goes, he would always call me a pussy because I couldn't eat like it. Like I'd put a little hot sauce on, I'd be like, it's so hot, it's so hot.
I heard something the other day that made me laugh. It said the South is so tough that pain is a flavor.
Yeah.
Hot sauce.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I love spicy stuff.
Pain is a flavor.
Pain is a flavor.
That's good.
Of course, you go down south and no one knows how to shovel snow, I guess. I don't know.
Man, true.
There's a lot of... It's surprising how much cultural difference there is between each end of our country.
Just because of environment. Or not just because,
environment and history. I mean, obviously, up in Michigan, you've got a lot of loggers and lumberjacks, essentially. And that's where their history started, was Swedes and Norwegians coming over here to do logging because we had a massive amount of resources. And so that culture has integrated itself into that state, and that's why they have the same cultural aspects that they had at that time and they brought it over here with them. So part of their culture is their history. Some of the foods they eat you won't find anywhere else because that's the specific region that another group of immigrants moved to.
And that's what makes it more desirable too.
Well, same thing in the South, you know what they're doing up north with, they don't have the same stuff. In the South, you've got obviously immigrants coming over from the border. You've got a lot of old cowboys culture, because that's the culture that there was. And then their history has developed their culture. So we have these massive different pockets of culture all the way through our country that you don't really find anywhere else. It's really cool just to kind of get to experience everything. Someone from Maine won't have anywhere close to the same experiences as someone from Maryland, and they're only a few states apart.
True.
And that's just right there in the Upper East Coast. Same thing. For example, someone from Florida, totally different lifestyle than someone from Washington.
Absolutely.
And
you can say that any point in the U.S. Like,
yeah,
even between Chicago and St. Louis, like, because I used to live in Chicago, and I grew up in St. Louis as well. So, like, the cultural difference between the two was just insane to me. And I guess that kind of gives you some hope for world peace. Going back to that, that like if we can all be united and we're all so different but all so the same at the same time, like maybe there's hope that the entire world could get along.
But if you look, we don't get along.
True.
I mean, we get along as far as the federal government is concerned, but when you get down to the brass tacks of it, we have polarized, like, policy, political or polarized. Again, with the culture, someone from Texas is probably going to hate the culture up in northern Michigan, and vice versa. And I imagine that, well, actually, a lot of the people that I met in Chicago, they didn't know how to handle me.
Why's that?
To them, I had a weird accent. One of the funniest stories I have from probably not the funniest, but the one I remember right off the top of my head right now, I was in a cafe called the Night Owl in a little town called Lawrence, Michigan. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to my mom, and at that time, when I talk to my mom, my southern accent comes out real bad.
Okay.
It gets real rough. I'll start talking like this, and, how you doing? My name's Jerry. It comes out hard.
That's funny.
And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to my mom, and there's these girls sitting at a table, and they're giggling. Every time I say something, they start giggling. And I finally go, are you girls okay? And they look at me and they go, we're just laughing at your accent. Are you from Texas? I was like, whoa, my accent? What are you talking about? And just the northern accent, it caught me off guard. But it was just interesting how they'd never heard something like that. I'm from Midwest Missouri. They thought I was from Texas because that's how they perceived that culture.
Exactly, yeah.
They perceived the southern, any kind of twang, really.
Did you have the beard at that time?
Oh, yeah. I've had the beard since high school.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Good for you. So you think that played into it a little bit?
Played into...
like their perception of you?
Oh, yeah. They perceive... Southerners perceive the Northern as a bunch of whiny white folk, and the Northerners perceive the Southerners as a bunch of rednecks with guns and weird accents, and it's just back and forth.
Everybody be cool. At the end of the day, I think we should all just be cool. Be nice.
We should, but not everybody will.
Yeah.
Some people just won't do it.
Cool. Well, honestly, I mean, do you want to call us quits on this?
Yeah, sure. I can use a cigarette break.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So that puts us in an hour and a half. That was a good conversation, man. And I told my guest this the other night, and I would say the same compliment applies to you, but this is like the reason I started podcasting. Because like we were saying earlier, like college has given me a lack of connection because I think it's a lot of superficial relationships.
There's a lot of superficial relationships just in the world. It's not just college. It was back in high school, too. I mean, even back in, like, kindergarten, you had that one kid that was just friends with you because you lived in the woods and had guns. Or you were just friends with that one kid because he lived in a big house and had video games.
Right.
There's all kinds of superficial relationships that we have to deal with in life. And then, I was going to say something else. I don't remember what else I was going to say. But... that was a good stretch of rant.
But, no, like, I going off of that, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. Like, superficial relationships in all aspects of life. That is a good point.
College.
I should keep rephrasing that because I think that's been a complaint throughout my life in general. Because even sports teams I would play on, and back in high school or whatever. Like you're just kind of acquaintances with these people, and you don't really ever get to like know them like on a deeper level. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate these conversations. Is regardless of how frequent like I've been able to find the time to have these conversations, I appreciate each and every person like for who they are. And so this conversation and a ton of other podcast conversations are the reason I started podcasting. So for that, I thank you very much. It's been real. It's been a good conversation.
This was fun.
Hell yeah.
So when do I get to come back?
Yeah. Well, I guess you'll be here next year, right?
What do you mean?
My bad. This upcoming fall.
Oh yeah, I live here.
Totally. I was just making sure.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm definitely. I have like a long list of people like that.
Oh yeah,
sure. So
I'm surprised you got me on so quick. I figured you, like you said, you got a long list of people, and you were kind of telling me that, and you were pretty quick to get me on here. You were on vacation last week, and then immediately, as soon as you got back and had a weekend free, you were ready to go.
Totally.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I figured like after meeting you like freshly, like it'd be a lot. Like if we had like this conversation again, like obviously we could go 6 months without seeing each other and be like the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You seem like that type of person. I know I definitely am. But like if we just had that conversation like at a party or something, I could totally see it getting like just kind of swept under the rug and then kind of forgetting about like oh, you should come on the podcast kind of deal. So I was like, oh, I need to act on this soon if we really want to do this. At least that's how I saw it. At least that's how I feel like a fair amount of people would be.
So you just a fresh guess. You didn't want to lose me. I'm that important, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I enjoyed the conversation the other night. Yeah, it was fun. And I enjoyed this conversation as well.
Great conversation too.
True. So, we honestly, we had just as good of a conversation earlier.
I go pee.
Yeah, totally. All right, so that wraps up episode number 66 of Jordan's Subjective Perspective. Thank you for listening so much. I appreciate your time. I've never done this before, but you should follow me on Instagram and all those other social media sites at Intrepid Jordan. All right, deuces, bye.